Welcome to Disruptive Capitalists, the show where purpose-driven entrepreneurs and bold investors share how they're reshaping the world by investing time and money in a way that improves lives and creates wealth. So let's get to it. Thank you everyone for joining another great episode of the Disruptive Capitalist podcast, where we talk about making money by being a good human and taking good care of other people. My guest today is Tony Bradshaw, who is the author of The Millionaire Choice, Millionaire or Not, You Can Choose. He's host of the Millionaire Choice show, Make the Choice, Create Your Plan. You may have ran into Tony Bradshaw on Dave Ramsey. Where else have you been? You've been a lot of places, Tony.
I've had quite an interesting journey, Sam. I've been at Dave Ramsey for 15 years and ran his digital part of his company. We had about 12 businesses inside of there, and responsible for what they call digital transformation. And when I left there, I came up with this phrase: "You can't have a digital company without a digital CEO." It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But we were able to make that transition, make it happen. But it's not an easy road. But yeah, I had a good run there. It was a good time. And then I got back into personal finance about a year after I left Dave's. Left Dave's in 2016, and then got back into personal finance in 2017. Unplanned, but sometimes that's the way things happen, and I've been doing that ever since.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you're doing today, because what you're doing today is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting just in life in general. I think everybody does this. What they say, it's like something like 60-70% of kids that graduate from college aren't even working in their major within 7 years or something like that. And I was definitely one of those. I got an engineering degree and then pivoted into technology, which is when I joined the Ramsey team, and have been doing that ever since. Love technology. As soon as I figured out that you could take data somewhere in the city or the country, plug it in, and collect it from somebody you never met, and then you could spit it back out to somebody else you never met and share it. I was like, oh man, this is the greatest thing ever. And so I started building databases and building little apps. I wasn't very good at it, but I tried really hard and taking that. So that's kind of taken me to where I'm at now, in this financial journey. Is like, how do you really transform our current financial system and the way people live and think about money? And that's what I wake up every day and think about, like, how can we help people end up better off, tomorrow than they are today? My journey started when I was 25. I had grown up in a family that mismanaged our money. Water got cut off, power got cut off. My dad would send me out to turn the water on. And with the little, what's called a water key, it's like this little metal bar, and the water was cut off. We were breaking the law, going out there and turning it back on, and because we need to take showers. Sometimes you do stuff you wouldn't normally do, and so I've been through some of that pain and understand that. And what I found over the last several years, and I think this is universally applicable to people I've talked to, interviewed, and tried to help, is that most people are really stuck where they're at financially because they don't have the right mindset. That's like number one. And that's what shifted for me when I was 25. My mindset shifted. And they don't have a vision really for their future. They don't have that. So you can't go somewhere that you don't have a vision on, where to go or how to get there, right? The plan comes after that. But if you don't even have the mindset or the vision, then you get stuck. And that's kind of the way the system is designed. It's designed to kind of keep people stuck. And then a few of us are fortunate enough to get unstuck and break free. But that's what I'm working on. Really, all the brands I come up with, it's all about creating what I call a financial ecosystem for like cities. Like, how do you create citywide financial transformation where people aren't stuck? And we have 2.5 million people here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's my home city, my home state. I was born here at one of the hospitals, lived here my whole life. And so I kind of feel a sense of responsibility to go, hey, what does it look like if Nashville, Tennessee is the first city in the United States in a very long time? I won't say ever, because we used to have cities without debt, but a city that's totally debt-free inside, the way people live their lives. We're not enslaved by debt. And, there's good debt and bad debt. We could talk about that too.
Sure.
But the concept of consumer debt that weighs us down, that keeps us from building wealth, that's the debt I'm talking about. How do you get people free from that on a massive scale?
So you were telling me about your plan for kids. as a way to, create wealth in the rising generation. And the one big beautiful bill just passed a rule for that. I think they calls them their Trump Trust Fund or their Trump Fund. Every kid now has a Trump Fund. I don't know if that name's going to stay, but that's what he named it, of course, because
It gets attention.
he gets attention and he wants his name on everything, which is anyway. So tell us, talk a little bit about, his is $1,000, but you were saying that's not good enough. And run through the numbers with me again on what that should look like and how easy that would be for the country to do.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. When I got back into personal finance away from, my other former employer, my thinking started changing a little bit, right? From the way that, that program and how it works, and to like, what does it really mean to create change? And one of the concepts that came up for me was this concept of like, you have to start, if you really want to shift a country, a nation, a society, you have to start as soon as possible, right? You have to start changing the way they think. Now, there's some other people, we won't go into this, but there's some other people that know that. And so when you look at like, why are our school systems degraded? If you look at our school systems and the educational system versus say like China or some of the other countries, the U.S. does not rate very well at all. I think in a lot of categories, we're like maybe not even in the top 50 in some categories. So it's pretty bad. So you start going, okay, why is that? And that's because there are certain people that control that educational system, right? So when you get into like, how do you create fundamental financial change? You have to go back to that schooling system. Like, how do you educate? And so a couple of the concepts I'm trying to incorporate, we're not there yet. It'll probably be several years before we get to a lot of this stuff. But one of those is this concept of doing what Trump has done, but on a different scale. So $1,000 really. Following the rule of 72, which is, divide 72 out by 7% or 12%, roughly, or whatever percentage. Let's say you get a 10% return. That would be 7 years, right? So about 7.2 years. So the money would double every 7.2 years. So under that model, you would go from 1,000 to the kid would be at 7 years old, it would be 2,000. At 14 years old, it would be roughly 4,000. And then at 21, it would be roughly 8,000, right? So that's not a lot of money, especially when you consider how fast inflation happens. It's pretty much like almost just $1,000 still at that level because inflation is so rampant right now. Okay, so my concept in 2017, when I started doing the math on this thing, was to go, hey, it really needs to be a number that's significant enough to grow rapidly. And so that number needs to be probably close to $10,000. Now, under that model, you say, okay, well, we're starting with 10 grand when a child's born. So think of this, visualize this. A child's born, the data gets reported, oh, a child's born. Somebody shows up, and this doesn't have to be the government, right? This could be this could be a private entity. It doesn't have to be the government, but somebody shows up and to the parents and say, hey, we have a benefit. Congratulations on your son and your daughter. Little Joey or whatever his name is or her name is, and we have a benefit for your child, and that benefit is a $10,000 trust fund. Your child is now entered into a $10,000 trust. You could even make this stuff like city specific if you want to. These are details that will have to be worked out on the plan overall. But then what happens is you go, okay, so they're born with a $10,000 trust. Under Trump's plan, it takes 21 years to get to 8,000. You're still not even at the same level that you start with the 10,000. Now, why is that critical? Because it's the time value of money. It has to have time to replicate. So by doing 10,000 or even 8,000, you've already done 3 cycles of $1,000 under the Trump plan. Not to knock on Trump, it's a great concept. It's probably the best he could do to get approved with our jacked up Congress. So it's better to have something than nothing, and hopefully that number will get increased. And maybe that's part of his plan is to raise the numbers once the law gets put into place, and then he can pump the numbers up, next year or something. But anyway, $10,000, and under that model, what happens is in 7 years, 10,000 becomes 20,000. At 14, it's 40,000. And then by 21, you're looking at $80,000 in an account for a child. Now, this is where it gets really crazy, and my numbers may be a little bit old here, but when you start looking at the socioeconomic status of white people versus black people versus Hispanics versus Asians, what you're going to find is that $80,000 is such a significant impact on the average wealth of a black American and a Hispanic American, right? So, and I haven't looked at these numbers in a while, Sam, so forgive me for your listeners if they go research this data. I encourage you, go research the data. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have. But you start to find that the average wealth number for somebody like that doesn't have a college education, this kind of stuff, is like $8,000 for the average black person. For the average Hispanic, I think it might be $6,500. Those two numbers might be reversed right there that I'm putting out. So when you start going, okay, we're doing $10,000, it's going to double. That will be several $1 million by the time somebody reaches retirement age. Why is that significant? Mathematically, when you have grandma who's 65, who is now worth about $6.5 million, anywhere from $2 to $6.5 million, depending on how the economy rolls. Do you think little Johnny is going to go to school at college with student loan debt?
No, grandma's going to take care of it.
Grandma's going to write the check. And guess what? It's not just grandma, it's grandma and grandpa. So now you have two grandparents that are multimillionaires in the same family. When you start doing that kind of stuff or playing with these kind of economic models, you start shifting the fundamental way the economy, everything flows, and it starts flowing money away from the bankers and back to the people. You're reversing the flow of where the money's going. Right now, unfortunately, the average person like us is at the bottom of the pyramid, and the money's flowing up the pyramid. So you have to, where my head works is I want to develop economic systems that reverse that flow or change the way that flow is going. And this is just one of those. There's another model I've worked on, Sam. I'll be glad to share it with you because I believe in sharing ideas. But it's an educational model that goes, when should kids start learning about personal finance and what should they start learning? So I took my first stab at that to go, hey, let's do 12 years. Let's not just do one semester of financial literacy that's useless. Let's do 12 years, and here's what they learn it every year. And by the end of they get out of college, they're smarter than probably every professor in every college on personal finance, or at least most of them. And I think that those are things we got to shift if we want to change the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem.
The cool thing about financial literacy is, look, if somebody is very financially literate, it doesn't mean they're not going to be an HVAC technician, right? We're not getting rid of the working class. They can work, they can lead those companies so much better. They're far more likely to be successful. Your failure rate of entrepreneurs is going to be a lot lower because they know how to use money. And they can create things that we're currently not creating because the only people who know how to make money are the ones at the top or on their way up as they continue to learn the processes, instead of having, 90% or 95% of the humans in America have zero financial education. It's no wonder why the middle class is continued to shrink and the lower class continues to grow.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think what I love about your model too, you were sharing with me before the show about the real estate and helping people get real estate, get into real estate, redevelop the section, the housing situation. You're putting training where it needs to happen, right? So you're not just saying, hey, here's your situation is bad, you're collecting a welfare check or whatever your situation is. We've helped out some homeless people that are friends of ours before, and we experienced that and watched that happen to these families. But you're actually providing the education. So when you start doing what we talked about, like this trust model, you're actually also doing something to transform the family, right? So a lot of times people, when I present this model, they go, well, what about their current problems? Like that solves their problem 65 years from now. What about today? Well, the way you get at that is you go, hey, we're opening a door. Like your family is now destined to be a family that has means to it. But along on that journey, we have now access to communicate with you, to introduce new ideas to you, to connect with this family in different ways with an abundance mindset. And so this would have to be a complete, communication and training strategy, which works really well for your model because you got people in the vicinity where some of
Yeah.
these people would be, encountering, abundance opportunities for the first time, and you have to guide that or it can get misused. Because I love working for Dave. One of the best things I think he says is money doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you more of what you really are.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to equip a bad person with a lot of money because they're just going to keep doing bad stuff. So you need to help with some of these social economic issues too.
Absolutely. And for us, we looked at housing as that opportunity to have a user base of people where you can meet them where they are. And then if we're going to get people out of poverty, we need to meet them where they are and then help them, lift them up, not give them free stuff. Free stuff doesn't help. It's, in creating the system, like you were saying before, the system whereby people can get out. Now, if I grew up, which I did in rural Oklahoma, super poor, rural Oklahoma, if I knew that when I turned 65, I was suddenly going to be worth $5 million and could live that life, like that would give me a lot of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's not, I'm going to get Social Security and I'll be worth, $2,000 a month. I'm going to be worth $6 million and I can access that, but I have to, prove that I'm not going to take all that money, send it all to Africa to a Nigerian prince somewhere and be destitute 3 months later. And so, like, that gives me hope. And then I know as a grandparent, I can take care of my grandkids. And now, once that first cycle of people happens, then it changes everything. The whole country is changed forever thereafter. And so you're talking fundamental change in 60 years. That's like what happened in, the UAE, essentially.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, too, I haven't done the complete mathematical modeling on everything related to this, but unfortunately, some of the people in that system, they're not going to make it to 65.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So what will likely happen is at some point in the future, that fund will probably become self-sustaining because of people that don't reach the level, or you have to let people pull some off before they get there. Because you don't want to have like $4 million sitting there, somebody can't make a house payment. So there has to be at some point the account would mature into a level that if you had to pulling some off for emergencies would not be detrimental to the overall vision for what's happening. And, it's going to create oversight. And as anything goes on in our government, in the world, the bigger the honey pot, the more criminals come trying to get access to it. And so you would have to compartmentalize it. And that's where I get to the state or the citywide model where you go, okay, you can't have all that money centralized. The more centralized it is, the more likely to be pulled into corruption of some sort. So you would want to compartmentalize it, probably at least at the state level, and maybe even at the city level or even a regional level. So this is all stuff that'll have to be worked out. But I like the fact that Trump did do something with it. I think it's good. Bill Ackman, Pershing Capital, he suggested a similar idea. I think about 3 or 4 years ago, his number was around 3,000, which I think is still not enough. Especially, inflation's been really bad not the last year, but prior to that from 2021 to 2025 was really bad. And yeah, so you would need to, all that has to be mapped out. If I had the check, I'd probably write it right now, but I don't have that kind of money in my account. But you asked me for numbers, so let's give it to the audience here. When I started running these numbers back in 2017, I came up with a number of about $40 billion. Now, that sounds like a lot of money to a lot of people. It's nothing. Like, it literally is nothing to the federal government. It's nothing in the scope of the business. It's learning to redirect cash flow for the good of the people and the country. And so when I ran the numbers, it was $40 billion to do a $10,000 check for every child born in America for a year. All right. Now, why is that number significant? That number is significant because that was less than the cost of the Afghanistan war for 1 year. So we were spending more money on one war in Afghanistan than we it would take to basically ensure that a future generation would all become multimillionaires and never be in debt forever and ever again. So why wouldn't we do that, Sam? It's power. It's power. There,
Politics.
there are people that want power, and when the people have wealth and independence, they have more freedom. So
Yeah.
basically the reason that idea is not in place is because it doesn't empower the people that are in power as a whole. And that's not Republican or Democrat, that's both, and it's the people that run up at that degree. We don't have enough time on this show, but you do say disruptive capitalist, so that's a good title. So we want to disrupt that system a little bit.
Disrupt the system, right? Because we can create a system that is so much better for us as humans than what we currently have. There's an infinite amount of money. It's not finite. It's an infinite amount of money. You can go make as much money as you want in this world. Like if you want to make $10 billion, you could go do it, right? People do it. It's how. How do we design those systems? How do we create those systems? So my focus has been on disrupting poverty and helping people get out of poverty. And the way that they do that is they got to have knowledge. They have to have access, knowledge and access, right? And because that's how you got to where you are, is how I got to where I am, is I went and got the knowledge and I gained access. It wasn't given to me. I had to go find it and create it. And most people don't have that gumption to go change everything in their life and leave home and go out and find it. And so that's what it's partly about. But if just smart people can create something that changes everything, like why not try? We should.
Yeah, I love the way you think about that. I love what you're doing. And I do agree with you. Like, that's why it's on the back of my book. You gave the front title, Millionaire, Not You Can Choose. The back of the book says anyone can become a millionaire. Why not you?
Yeah.
And the truth is, it is. And you got to start with a mindset shift. You develop a vision. You gain knowledge. The one thing I missed, I did find a money mentor. That's in my book. That's Millionaire Key number 4. Yeah, Get Money Smart is Millionaire Key number 3, which you talked about getting knowledge. The one thing I missed, Sam, was your tribe. Like, I knew that the people I was hanging with weren't going the direction I wanted to go. So I let go of my friend base that wasn't headed in the right direction. I never drank alcohol. I'm not an alcohol guy. Some of my friends that were good friends, they decided to go into alcohol. Some of them probably went into drugs a little bit, but they decided to live a different lifestyle. And I chose not to live that specific lifestyle for me. So that set me apart from them. But not until I got to Ramsey's, Dave Ramsey's, did I actually get into what I would call a tribe. And, we were all financially focused, manage our money well, invest well. Mm-hmm. And that's something I haven't had in the last 7 years since leaving Ramsey's, but I'm building that now. And I think that was a big miss for me. And say that for your audience is like, who are you hanging out with? The average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think that has to be part of the system. And so with your housing stuff that you're doing, that's something I think needs to be baked into the equations. Go, hey, I can give you knowledge. I can give you wisdom. I can give you all this, but who are you running with? And I've got some people in my life that very close to me that had a lot of good opportunities, but they never ran with the right people.
Yeah.
Private school, financially educated, never stuck, but never changed their friend base. And therefore they never reached abundance. And, and not too much younger than me, I'm 55 now, or a couple months, I guess, but, I'm there. And that makes me sad because, I'm like, oh, I've got this circle, but who's coming with me? And sadly, a lot of people choose not to.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's not an immediate win, and you have to give up things. You have to make sacrifices. It's the only way. But then when you don't have that thing that you wanted, you can't complain about it because you didn't take the path to get there. So, Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. You've made a big impact on a lot of people's lives. You've helped a lot of people get out of debt, to think about finance differently. I love your ideas about, city ecosystem, financial ecosystem that could really change the world. Um, what's what are you working on right now? You talked about a big financial conference this fall.
Yeah, yeah, man. I've got a lot of stuff I was showing some people today. I think it's just time for me to do everything that's in my head like all at once. And
Yeah.
so I just signed my first LLC, formed it like 2 days ago with some friends. We're developing. I've gotten into a gold and silver business. We're developing technology around that, and it's a little different. I've got another call I had right before I got on with you, and this is a financial app that has been in my head for about probably at least 15 years.
Well,
And it's drag and drop financial planning, and that's the way I characterize it. And it's going to have educational components in it, where people can learn. I'm hoping to get an MVP on that minimum viable product, maybe done this year. We'll see. But I found some guys that want to do it with me. They're going to do equity stake in it, so I don't have to pay them anything. And so I'm like, why not? Let's go do it. And so
yeah.
we're going to do that. And a lot of the stuff you and I talked about will be in this app. But the biggest thing I'm working on right now is the Purpose of Wealth Summit. This is all part of the ecosystem. So it's an event in Nashville, Tennessee, November 8th. And I don't want to be the only guy on stage. So we're doing I'm being ballsy here, man, Sam. I'm really going for it. This venue can handle about 4,000 people. The main stage is about 2,900. I've already got about 20 speakers lined up for this event, and we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about business. I've got a health room. I've learned a lot of things about health and what's going into our bodies. So I've got some doctors and nutritionists coming into town. They want to be part of this event. And then I've got some marriage specialists, because the fastest way to lose half your money, Sam, what is it?
Divorce.
Divorce. And I almost got in 2013, my marriage was on the rocks. And fortunately, in 2015, I asked my young wife, I guess we weren't that young at the time, hey, do you want the next 18 years of our marriage to look like the last 18? And she just shook her head, no, I don't want that. And I said, we need some help. And so it took me a lot of work, but fortunately I got my act together and she kept me. So that was a good arrangement. But there's a lot of friends of mine right now, man. There's like at least 10 right now that are dealing with major marital issues. And I'm not seeing anything in the marketplace that deals with that issue. I'm driving around Nashville. I see no billboards. I hear no radio ads. I hear nothing. It's silence. It's definitely silent. So I'm like, why not? Let's just stick a room in there. And if anybody wants to go get some help, we're going to put marriage speakers and relationship speakers on stage in one of these rooms. And it'll be a breakout room, probably like 120 people. But that's the biggest thing I'm working on right now. I'm sometimes you're doing it, man. You're going for it, right? You're just like, man, I want to go change the world. Dude, this is my stab. These are the things I'm working on. I'm like, it's time. I'm 55 years old. It's time. Let's just pull the ripcord, jump out of the plane, see what happens. We'll either go splat or we'll land very gently, right? And but I'm there, man. I'm there. So November 8th, Purpose of Wealth. Anybody wants to come down, and I'll be glad to host you and introduce you to people. We have a general admission ticket, premium ticket, and if you want to be in the room with the big boys, you can get a VIP ticket and hang out with ideas. Oh, and the biggest thing, Sam, is it's all about connecting your money to a purpose. So we have nonprofits coming in to take the stage. And so I'm looking for nonprofits that are wanting to come down here and get some exposure on the work they're doing to make the world a better place. And I would love to have you come down for it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'll make sure that's in the show notes and that people know I'm a very big purpose-driven person. I impact investor myself, or we have our impact growth fund where it's what we should not be investing money without making, for dang sure that it aligns with our core values and what we care about. We have enough data out there now that we can tell that impact can drive dollars and can drive revenues. And we also know what people are doing with that money. You know what Apple's doing with the money when you give it to them, right? We know what a lot of these companies, some we don't still, but a lot we do.
And it's not always very good, is it, Sam?
It's not always very good, right? Like you may have just, I don't know, you may have just supported terrorism. Who knows? But actually, seriously, I won't go down that rabbit trail.
You sound like you want to, but it's not the show for that. Maybe
it's not the right show for that.
You should come on my show. I'll let you talk about it.
Oh man, the things that we send money for and we don't care. We just want a return, right? Just increase the return. And like, you know what your money just did? Anyhow,
It's good.
it's good. We're in a new world now, and we should pay attention.
Absolutely. I really feel your heart there. I think, you guys listen to the show. Sam's making a really good point. There's actually some tools out there. Sam, I can't remember the name of it, but actually you can get a report on everything you're invested in. It'll tell you exactly what they're doing. And I had that guy on my show probably about 2 years ago. I need to go look his stuff back up. But just, being aware of it. There's a lot of bad stuff out there. And that's what I talk about. We need more good millionaires in the world that are doing good things with their money. There's plenty of bad ones, and when you look at a lot of the bad stuff, it is propagated by bad money. It just is, and too much of the money right now is flowing in the wrong direction. That is a bad outcome for humanity.
Yeah.
And so hear that. I'm not saying that very lightly to your audience. Bad money from bad people with a bad purpose for humanity. We need to flip that. And that's why we need to educate people financially.
That's why we have to disrupt it. We have to disrupt those systems. That's it. Tony, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people reach you?
Yeah, number one place right now is just TonyBradshaw.com. You'll get access to everything that I'm doing. You'll see it out there. It's all on the site. There's actually some free stuff there. You can get my book for free if you want it. It's not the greatest financial book in the world, but it will help you make a financial shift. And a lot of other free stuff too, man. I just try to, if you want something on there for free, just email me. And I'll be glad to try to make it and put it up on the website for free. Just give me some ideas.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again for being on the show. I'll make sure all that's in the show notes. Folks, go look up TonyBradshaw.com and go to the event in November in Nashville. I'll be there. All right, everyone. Thank you. If this episode shifted your thinking, then share it with someone bold. And remember, capital is a tool. Use it to build a world you are proud to live in.